Hey everyone, this is Seth with Food Challenge News. Welcome back to another podcast interview. I'm joined today by James Webb, known professionally as JWebby Can Eat, the number one competitive eater in Australia, and also fourth ranked in the world by Major League Eating. How you doing today, James?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks. So I'd like to start with your early beginnings. Let's begin with where you grew up and how you got into the world of competitive eating.
I'm from Australia. I grew up in Western Sydney, Australia, in a city called Castle Hill. I didn't discover competitive eating until I was 32 years old, and I kind of just fell into it, I guess you could say. I obviously got a bit of a sporting background, soccer, and then some bodybuilding, and always liked my food. And then one day I went out with my girlfriend, who's obviously now my wife. We went for a day trip to the Hunter Valley, and on the way we stopped off at a pub, and I took part in their food challenge, and the rest is history, I guess.
What job and hobbies did you do before embarking on your wild food adventures?
So I was a professional soccer player. I was a personal trainer. I worked in corporate. I've got a business and economics degree, so I worked corporate for a while, for a long while, I should say. I was actually general manager of UFC Gym Australia before deciding to pursue the competitive eating slash content creation path.
Oh, that's really neat. So you were already kind of in the world of competition style stuff, like with the UFC gym.
Yeah, look, I'm a competitive dude. Like everything I've done, I've tried to, be good at and give it everything. And then when I discovered, I guess, competitive eating, so like my love for food and my competitive, I guess, nature, when I could find a way to combine them, that's kind of like why it really stuck with me.
And so let's talk about your first big challenge. So it was a massive burger and sides. I think it also had fries and onion rings, and that was, I believe, at a hotel. So what compelled you to order it from the menu, knowing that it was undefeated by over 50 people?
To be honest, it was the pure arrogance of the people that ran the place. Honestly, the staff, the owners, the locals, just the pure arrogance of like no one's ever going to do this. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm at least going to try. Don't tell me I can't do something. I'm that kind of guy where like you could tell me, hey, that fire's hot, but I'm still going to stick my hand in the fire and find out for myself.
From the time that you ordered it to the time that it was sat down in front of you, did you have any doubts in your mind, or were you pretty confident?
You know what? I didn't really have a thought. I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna eat this burger. I'll be honest. I didn't consider not finishing it. Like I've never like timed myself eating. So I'm like, do I normally eat for 30 minutes? I'm like, surely not. The challenge was 30 minutes long, right? But I actually finished everything in like 20, 23 minutes, right? I wasn't sure about like the pace. And actually, that was my first ever food challenge. I didn't know how to eat competitively, I guess, so to speak. I didn't know any skills or techniques or strategies. I kind of just ate it. Like I chopped it up into like quarters and just started eating it like a burger. Honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. I was just making it up as I went along, and I just didn't think about it.
And so, what was the reaction of the restaurant when you completed it?
So honestly, like by the end of the challenge, right? Like so when I got about 10 minutes in, obviously it was a small country town. So like everyone kind of knows everybody. By about 15 minutes into the challenge, like the whole town was at the pub watching. So like 10 minutes into it, that's normally when people kind of tap out because they just can't eat anymore. But I was going strong. So like everyone kind of got on the phone and started calling their friends and family and whatever. And honestly, I had half of Cessnock at this pub to watch me eat the rest of this burger. And so they were shocked. Afterwards, the owner, obviously we took photos and whatever else, but the owner actually sent the video to the local newspaper, and the local newspaper freaked out and sent it to like National Nine News, which is like probably the biggest primetime news channel in Australia, and they aired the story.
And so, following that challenge, you would eventually set up a TikTok account. How did you get started on TikTok?
So that happened on a Saturday. The news article kind of blew up on the Sunday. On the Monday, I got interviewed by a radio station. And from that radio interview, a few competitive eaters reached out to me on Instagram. By the way, those guys are like now my best buddies. Like we've been to each other's weddings, like we're like brothers now. But a few of these competitive eaters from Sydney reached out to me. And I had no idea what they were talking about. But basically, they invited me out to this burger contest on the Thursday. So the first challenge was on the Saturday. The radio interview was on the Monday. I kind of started talking to them on the Monday afternoon slash Tuesday. And then I met up with them at a burger competition on the Thursday nights. And I just went after work, and I had never seen like a ring light, a microphone, a tripod. I'd never seen any of that stuff before. Like I was not into social media in the slightest. Anyway, they started filming videos and taking photos and all this stuff, and I really didn't understand what was going on. I was just there to smash burgers. Anyway, I ended up smashing that contest. I won that competition. That record still stands to this day. I ate it's a 2 pound burger and fries, basically, or like 2.5 pounds. Nothing crazy, but I ate it in like 2 minutes. And
Wow.
yeah, that record still stands to this day. And they kind of sat me down and they're like, hey man, look, you're really good at this. There's some things you really need to do, or there's some things you really should think about doing. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, creating content, try some other food challenges, film them, yada, yada, yada. And I thought at the time they were having me on a little bit. They gave me a list of food challenges around Sydney where we live. And I'm like, this is surely a joke. Like, this is a stitch up, right? Like, truth is, they gave me challenges that no one had defeated before. And I went around with my phone. My wife, my girlfriend at the time, obviously now my wife, bought me this crappy little tripod that you could connect your phone to. And I had no idea what I was doing, but I started filming myself eating these challenges and I was completing them all. And it was kind of fun. And then, like, obviously COVID was happening, or happened, I guess, however you want to describe that COVID period. But in Australia, we had some very strict rules around COVID, right? Like a lot of lockdown rules, what we can and can't do, can't leave the house, can't this, can't that, right? So to pass the time, I would just, because I like to cook, we were just making TikToks in the house and cooking. And then my wife, like, she's like, I'm going to make you a TikTok. So she started making videos and learning how to edit and stuff, and posted a few of my like challenges from like the prior 2 weeks. And that honestly just kicked off. Before you know it, like my living room live stream challenges were like a thing. And like people just tuned in and kept tuning in and kept coming back for more.
Yeah, and you actually reached over 160,000 followers in just 3 short weeks. So, what was your reaction when you saw like everyone watching all your challenges all of a sudden?
At the start, I thought this is a joke. Like this is surely like this is not a thing, right? Like I didn't really quite grasp what was going on because I'll be honest, I had no idea what TikTok is. To be truthful with you, the first probably 2.5 weeks of this whole TikTok craziness, I didn't even have the app on my phone. It was just my wife. And she was filming and editing and posting and stuff, right? Just to like pass the time because we couldn't go to work, right? So, I would be cooking and, eating, and she would be editing and filming and doing all that stuff. And we kind of just, that just became like our thing to kind of keep us occupied during COVID. So, like, honestly, like, I didn't really know what to make of it. And then, like, obviously, by the end of it, by like, 3.5, 4 weeks in, I downloaded the app and started paying attention. And I'm just like, what is going on? Like, what is this world, right? And that was only because, like, obviously, my Instagram was like a personal Instagram at the time, but I was getting like random like requests because when your account's on private, it's like a friend request kind of thing. It's not like they can't automatically follow you, right? So I was getting all these like
Mhm.
follow requests. I'm like, what is going on? And my wife's like, yeah, look, your TikTok's going a little haywire. It's pretty funny. I'm like, okay. So that's when I started paying attention. And then once I grasped what's going on, I'm like, this is mental.
You weren't on social media much before TikTok or anything like that.
Honestly, I think before lockdown, my Instagram consisted of a half naked gym selfie, my car, my bike, and my sneaker collection. 4 photos. That would have been about it.
And so you've talked a bit about your wife, Kate, and she's played a crucial role in, like you said, setting up your TikTok account and also being your social media manager and helping with a lot of behind the scenes work. Like we've seen her helping with your live streaming, smashing food at restaurants. So, what's your favorite part about having Kate along for the ride?
You know what? We're as much as we are a team, we're a family business. We do everything together. We do it in-house. I like to say she's the brains of the operation. I'm just the guts. But truth be told, she comes up with a lot of the creative concepts, a lot of my brand deals, endorsement deals. She fulfills, make sure the brief is fulfilled, and it comes up with more like innovative ways to make the content interesting. It's kind of cool that we've both come from a really different background, and she's applying her creativity to essentially our brand. It's kind of cool. Honestly, like it's a true family business and a team effort. But most of all, like doing it together, it just makes it fun. Like that's the bottom line. Like we have fun.
And it's also really important to, have someone that knows and understands today's world of social media and content because it can be challenging, like getting your name out there. Well,
Also, like
let's.
content creation, it's a full-time job, like obviously filming is one thing, then you got the editing, And then, you got to keep up with what's trending and what's cool and what's not and the rest of it. So it's very consuming. Like, don't get me wrong. It's so fun. It's very rewarding, but it consumes you. So, if you don't have a supportive partner or if you're not in it together, it can be quite difficult.
And so, moving on to a bit more of the competitive eating side, what was your first official eating contest, and did you surprise yourself with how you did?
Yeah. So look, obviously I did a few like random contests at restaurants that were like not such a big deal. Like it's kind of like just sign up and turn up on the day and eat. And I just went with a few of the competitive eating boys from Sydney, just turned up with them and kind of ate and won. But actually, my first sanctioned contest in Australia was probably the most famous, had been around the longest, one of the most famous contests in Australia. It's the Pancake Manor. It's up in Brisbane in Queensland. And basically, it's a 60-minute contest. It's as many pancakes as you can eat in 60 minutes. And the record was like 23 or something in 60 minutes. My first contest, my first sanctioned eating contest against all the competitive eating Australia eaters, I broke the record and won the contest with 32. I shocked myself because, that was like a proper sanctioned event, right? So prize money, other competitive eaters, ranked competitive eaters, other content creators, other people that have been doing this a long time.
How filling was that eating that many?
Yeah, honestly, these are big pancakes too. Like I was full. Honestly, like I couldn't breathe after. Like I'm like, I've never been this full before. It was an interesting challenge or contest. It was just an interesting experience, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think I can only take down like one or two before I'm done with pancakes for a while. So I definitely respect that. Following that, what made you decide to keep participating in future eating contests? Like, what made you say like I'm gonna do it again?
So in Australia, we have like 4 or 5 really big contests. Call it 6. We used to have 6, now we have 5. But we had 5 really prestigious contests. And obviously, through social media and stuff, I had gotten to know a lot of the competitive eaters. Now, obviously, Australia being, a deserted island, our level of competitive eating, our level of content creator, our level of, I guess you want to call them an influencer, whatever you want to call them, it's much less than the rest of the world, but it's still very significant. So, people that I had kind of followed, like food porn pages, like, like those burger porn pages and just, Sydney, eating around Sydney kind of Instagram pages, they were all kind of reaching out to me, 200K followers, 500,000 followers, messaging me saying, dude, like you're killing it. Like, can't wait to meet you, blah, blah, blah. Right. So I kind of used the contests to meet the people because like the ones in Queensland, the content creators in Queensland competed in Queensland, the content and competitive eaters, creators and competitive eaters from Sydney compete in Sydney, and then same in Melbourne, right? So I'm just like, okay, if I do all the contests, I'm going to get to meet all the people. So I just went and did all the contests and I broke all the records, and I was the first person ever not only to be ranked number one in Australia in their first season, but to win every contest and break all the records. Like I broke every single record there was to break in my first year.
That is really cool, and also congratulations on that. I really respect that as well. And there's also a lot of mental and physical strategies that go into competitive eating, and everyone is different on their preparation. So I want to talk to you a little bit about like when a big contest is coming up. When do you start preparation for the event? Is it like the night before? Is it a week before?
So look, the first two, like I've been doing this now, this is my third year, right? Or 2.5 years of competing, so to speak, right? So up until this year, I didn't really quite know what the word preparation meant. So if we go back, prior to January 2024, we'll separate it. So prior to January 2024, I would just skip dinner the night before and not eat the day of the contest. That would essentially be my preparation. But obviously, coming to America and experiencing what I experienced in America and seeing how large the gap is. I mean, it's called the Major League for a reason, right? Like, it is the best of the best. Like, the Nathan's contest, the Buffalo contest, the Wing Fest. There's a lot of big contests, a lot of big sponsors, and a lot of great eaters. So once I learned, I guess, or once I understood what's at stake and the level of competition, that kind of drove me and motivated me to be better. So that's when I started, taking, I guess, not that I never took it seriously, but I'm like, I need to learn how to be better. You know what I mean? Like I got that far. I got that far by just, I guess, making it up as I went along, you know, being a big eater, practicing a bit of technique here and there, but basically just turning up hungry and smashing food. Not too different to a regular food challenge, to be honest with you. But once I
Right.
figured out like these people train, these people like take this shit seriously, I'm like, I can do that. And I'm like, I'm gonna do that. So if we fast forward, the last, call it 11 months, my preparation has changed drastically. So now instead of just skipping dinner the night before and I guess skipping breakfast and turning up hungry, yeah, there is a lot of preparation. So, it starts a week out for me. I start stretching my stomach, eating high volume foods, really trying to stretch my stomach, and then I do that for like 2 to 3 days consecutively. And then 2 days out from a contest, I try and minimize food. So, say a contest is on Saturday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm really stretching my stomach with the volume foods. Thursday, I back off the food and I start incorporating a lot of fluid. So I drink a lot of diet soda to try and like, bloat me and stuff. And then Friday, I will not eat. So the 24 hours out, I fast completely, just make sure I'm well hydrated and yeah, kind of go from there. But that's completely different to what I used to do.
Many of your videos, we often see footage of you working out in different gyms before challenges and contests. So, do you have any favorite workouts or routines you like to do when you're not at home?
Look, I'm a bodybuilding nerd. I'm a bodybuilding geek at heart. I love training. I love the gym. I love bodybuilding. And you know what? Being a competitive eater, traveling the world has given me, honestly, besides the cool foods and the cool cities I get to visit and the cool people and all this stuff, I've gotten to train in some of the best gyms around the world, some of the most iconic, old school bodybuilding gyms around the world. So honestly, my training is so basic, man. I just lift weights. I just lift shit up and put shit down. But it's for me, it's about the atmosphere. I love training. Like for me, training's not a chore. Like, today I flew from Philadelphia to Dallas. I had to be at the gym at 3 a.m. to catch my flight for 7 a.m. I love training. So for me, my training doesn't change, just pure weight training. And honestly, the cooler the gym, the crazier it gets for me.
Yeah, and I think that really speaks to your dedication as well. And so for world records, because you've set multiple world records now, and one of those includes eating 350 donut holes in 8 minutes for a contest in Indiana. So which record overall is the most special to you and why?
Okay, so my most special to me, the one that stands out to me the most is the chicken wing world record. I have two chicken wing world records, one in Buffalo and one in Miami. So the Buffalo Wing It On Fest and the Miami Grill. Why they're the most important to me? Because I beat Joey Chestnut in both of those contests. I was first and he was second. So obviously we all know Joey's the GOAT. He is iconic.
Mhm.
He's like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, whatever famous sportsman you wanna name, he's up there in the eating world, right?
Mhm.
So for me to beat Joey Chestnut and break a world record, I'll never forget those moments. Like that was freaking wild.
I bet you're on cloud nine.
Honestly, I didn't even believe it the first time it happened. I'm like, is that my arm in the air? Like, what the hell is going on? Like, holy shit. Yeah, like, I did not believe it. I didn't know whether to laugh, cry, hug Joey. I didn't know what to do. Like, I was so shocked. I actually nearly fell off the stage.
And following those victories, did he say anything to you about that, like after the contest?
Yeah, look, Joey, he's obviously he's ultra competitive, doesn't like to lose. But when I beat him in Buffalo that first time, he shook my hand and he looked me in the eyes. He goes, "You ate good today," and gave me this like little nod. And I'm like, "Fuck!" It's like honestly, it was like getting a pat on the back from your dad. I'm like, "Thanks, Joey. Like you're the goat, dude. Like for you to just for you to even just say you ate good." Like that's something I'll never forget, you know what I mean? Because Joey's iconic. And let's be
Hmm.
honest, man, Joey doesn't lose that often. So I was a relative new kid
Right.
on the block, and I came out of nowhere, and I beat Joey Chestnut. And that's not a knock on Joey at all. That was honestly, I say to this day, that was beginner's luck, man. But it was just something that I'll never forget. That's something, especially in a lot of ways, because like obviously competitive eating, unless you're a competitive eater, you don't quite understand what goes into it. And as a general population, the general public, they all know Joey Chestnut, right? But I don't think people
Mhm.
understand what it takes to beat Joey Chestnut. You know what I mean? Like for all the things that need to fall into place to actually beat Joey, I should have bought a lottery ticket.
That is just so cool to hear. Just the overall experience, and then, like you said, just getting that nod of approval from Joey is that's really cool. And so your next record, I'd like to start with a personal story of mine actually. When I was growing up, I went to a family function and they had fudge there, and it was two ingredients. It was peanut butter and icing. And I remember my dad told me, he said, "Be very careful eating that," but it was just so tasty. I just kept taking it down, taking it down. I actually got sick to my stomach a little bit later. I couldn't even talk to any family. And so you hold the world record for 13 and a half pounds of chocolate fudge in just 8 minutes. So, what went through your mind as you were devouring that fudge, and how did your body handle that sugar rush? Did you feel it during the contest? Did you feel afterwards?
So first of all, I want to say like American fudge is freaking wild. Like American fudge is so different to Australian fudge. But look, I've got a sweet tooth. I love my sweets. I think that so I don't not that I get I don't get the well, I do, but like it's not as drastic. I don't really get the rush. I get the crash. So like during the contest, I was honestly fine. But like 10, 15 minutes after the contest, when I kind of sat down and the adrenaline wore off, like I just felt like really drowsy and like super dopey. And yeah, I get the crash. So it was rough because to be honest, where that contest was in Missouri, it was a 2.5 hour drive from where I was staying in my Airbnb in St. Louis. And I'm just like, man, like I don't like I was not that I was gonna fall asleep at the wheel, but I'm just like, I'm so tired. Like I just want to go to bed, you know what I mean? And I just remember thinking when I was driving, I'm like, man, I can't wait to go to bed. Like I was just so dopey. Like honestly, it was hard to describe because like obviously, like you mentioned, I've eaten donuts, donut holes, I've done some other sweet contests. That one, it hit me like, man, it was like a punch in the face.
And how were they shaped during the contest? Were they like in strips? Were they slabs?
They were like bricks. So they chopped like a square into four. So like yeah, square bricks, I guess you could call it.
I bet that was so filling. I can't even imagine.
Man, it was a lot of fudge.
So, out of all the eating contests you've done, can you give me one of the most memorable moments out of any eating contest?
My first Nathan's, definitely. Basically, I didn't understand what Nathan's was, as in like what it meant to the Americans. And when I qualified, the boys in Australia were going crazy. They're like, dude, this is crazy. Like, this is unbelievable. Like, you've got to train. And the boys were in my apartment yelling at me while I was eating hot dogs, and my apartment smelled like hot dogs for 2 weeks. And I came to America not understanding like the level of craziness around that 4th of July weekend, right? So I got to the hotel, got my uniform, went through the motions of, the media days and like we have a pre kind of the night before meeting and briefing and rundown of the day and the ESPN guys giving us waivers to sign and explaining how we're going to walk out on stage and all this stuff. And then the bus in the morning, everyone's in their uniforms. You get to Coney Island and we don't eat till 1 or 2 p.m., but we're there at 9 a.m. I'm like, what the hell for? Like, what's going on here? You get off the bus and it's just, man, it's World War. That's the best way I can describe it. There was drunk people at 9 a.m. in the morning wearing these hot dog hats, chanting USA and all this craziness. And that was an experience of a lifetime. That first Nathan's where I'm like, just don't fall over. Like you got to walk up this, you got to walk up the walkway and up the stairs. And there's like a stick, they put sticky tape on the floor on like a cross where you got to stand and face the camera and kind of wave. I'm like, just don't fall over and you'll be okay. And I just remember thinking, just don't fall over, don't make a fool of yourself. And obviously finishing third in my first Nathan's, taking a lot of people by surprise. Again, I had not understood what I had achieved. The only person to finish on the podium in their first Nathan's was Joey Chestnut and Kobayashi. To be compared to those guys in my debut season, unbelievable. Some of the eaters that I managed to knock off and beat that day, unbelievable. But honestly, like that whole experience was yeah, it was wild. And that's when it kind of sunk in when I'm like, holy shit, like now I understand. And I was like, I was on ESPN. And I'm like, that's crazy. And then like afterwards, so fast forward a couple of hours, obviously like there's a few Australian like sports betting companies that had like a novelty pool, like odds for me to compete. And I was getting people sending me photos on Instagram, like people I don't know of their tickets. People were betting like tens of thousands of dollars on me. And I won some guy like 85 grand because I finished third
Wow.
place. Yeah. And I'm just like, holy shit. Imagine if I like buckled and I came last and all these people lost all this money. Like that's the flip side. Like I won people a lot of money and I was like a freaking hometown hero. Don't get me wrong. But that's when it kind of all sunk in. Like people are betting on me now. Like That's wild.
Yeah, how did you handle the pressure of that and also being in front of such a large audience and also being on stage with other talented eaters and competition? Was it a lot of pressure overall, like all that combined
Um,
for you?
Look, it's always pressure when you step on stage, I guess. It's, you know what? It's kind of like if you want to be good at anything, there's always an element of pressure, right? Pressure to perform, pressure to meet expectations, pressure to do the best that you know you can do, sort of thing, right? But to be honest, like it's a privilege to feel pressure. Pressure is a privilege. If you're in that position to be able to be under pressure to perform of all things, that's a privilege. Some people they don't have much. I'm worried about how many hot dogs I'm going to eat today. You know what I mean? Like, so whilst there is pressure, because I feel like it is a massive privilege and an awesome opportunity, I just kind of try and do my best to like turn it into adrenaline and kind of flick the switch and just go crazy and do my best on stage. And that goes for every contest. You know what I mean? Like, obviously you got to be realistic. You're not going to win every contest. But I always set out, I want to win, I want to do the best, I want to eat more than the person next to me. And if I know I've done the best at the end of the contest, it doesn't bother me where I place. As long as I know I've given it everything.
And you've also become the number one competitive eater in Australia, but you're also ranked fourth in the world now by Major League Eating. So, what was your reaction when you were announced as one of the best eaters in the world?
I was very shocked, very happy, very shocked. Again, like you said, there comes an element of pressure, but I look forward to that now. I just want to keep climbing the ranks. I kind of feel like I've got not the pressure of my country on my back, but I know I've got the support of my country. Like the Aussies, they love what I do. Like, be compared to like some elite Aussie sports people. I've been compared to some Aussie greats, and it's just, I know it's all fun and games, but it's cool to have my name mentioned. It's cool to know that people know me as the guy that represents Australia in eating. They know I go to Nathan's. They know I compete in the major league. Every time I post a contest video, there's always someone like Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. You know what I mean? So it's a cool feeling. It's a cool feeling to know, I guess, most of all, that I can match it with the big people, the big boys and girls here in America, swim with the sharks, I guess you could call it. It's a very good feeling. That I'm up there with the best.
Yeah, it's great to hear. And so this past August, you actually went to Hungary for the first time. And I want to give a shout out to Mez, which is the Hungarian Eating Contest Championship League. And I know you competed over there. How was that experience with that contest and meeting everyone there and the food?
Yeah, so look, another opportunity to represent my country. Obviously being invited from Australia, that was an awesome opportunity getting to visit Hungary and compete in Hungary. The Hungarian hospitality is next level. Hungarians are crazy, man, in the nicest way possible. They are freaking wild human beings. They love it. That contest was different. I had never eaten 5 different foods in a contest before. The format was interesting. It was basically the only rules are you've got to eat the ice cream and waffle first, and it's first to finish. That was the only rules. Challenging because of obviously the language barrier. I didn't actually understand they were doing the countdown 3, 2, 1, go until I saw everyone else around me eating because I couldn't understand what was going on. But honestly, it was such a fun day. For me, not knowing, obviously, not speaking the language, and I had a couple of translators there that did their very best for me. But for the most part, I didn't really know what they were talking about or what was really happening. But it was a well organized contest. We had a good turnout. I have quite a number of decent competitors as well. I mean, obviously, the Hungarian league is a lot like Australia. They have, I think it's five eating events a year or 6 at the top end, right? So there's not very many to kind of practice. There's also not that many food challenges around Hungary. So a lot of these guys are doing like home food challenges, you know what I mean? But Hungarian food is very dense. They use a lot of sour cream. So all their sauces have sour cream. That's like the base. So everything is super dense. Like don't worry about ketchup. It's all like sour cream with something. So it makes it difficult to eat fast because it's very heavy. But honestly, like Hungarian food's delicious. So the contest was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And I've actually watched the contest, and it'll be out by the time this goes up. But we're actually writing an article about the championship right now, and you're actually mentioned as well. So,
Thank
and
you.
I want to talk a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about community, so engagement with audience, fans. So, like when you're on world tours or just even at home in Australia, how often do you get recognized when you're not filming? So, like when you're out with Kate eating, or you're just going to the gym. How many people stop you and say, "Hey, I know you. I've seen your challenges."
Yeah, honestly, every day. Honestly, every day. Whether it's my local shops, going out to dinner, even on date night, going to the gym. Yeah, it's I get noticed a lot. it's actually kind of cool. It still blows my mind that people pay attention to what I do, watch the videos. Blows my mind that people want photos, people want shout outs, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it does. It honestly, it surprises me every single time. But I'm so grateful, and I just roll with it.
On the other side of it, what's your reaction to criticism of your content online? Does it ever get overwhelming, or do you mostly just try to not focus on it?
Honestly, I just laugh. Look, if you look at the people that criticize not just what I do, but criticize competitive eating or content creators as a whole, they're just jealous, number one. Um, Number two, they have strong opinions because they're not, obviously content with their life. And that, if you've got time to look, take it from me, right? Travel the world and do what I do. I don't actually have time to worry about, hanging shit on other people or criticizing other people. You know what I mean? Like I'm all about like you said, engagement and community and building people up, giving people a high five, saying well done. Honestly, I encourage everyone to do competitive eating. I get messages every single day. Oh, dude, like I really want to try a challenge. I'm like, yeah, man, where are you located? And I try and give them as many suggestions as I can. Like the more the merrier, right? So the one for every one person that wants to like criticize or say some negative stuff, there's 10 or 15 people that love what not only what I do, what we do as a whole. So to be honest, it is what it is. It's like that with everything. I mean, if you're a football player, a basketball player, a baseball player, you got your haters. But look, end of the day, haters are good for the algorithm. So thanks for the comments.
And what kind of reactions do you get from people at restaurants when you're taking on food challenges? Like, is anyone ever disgusted, or do they root you on?
Look, to be honest, you're always going to have that one person that's, I guess you could call it disgusted, whatever you want to call it. But to be honest, it's the same thing. Some people have no idea what I'm doing, but they're so curious. Some people are like, holy crap, that's ridiculous, but that's funny as hell. Some people understand what it is and they think it's crazy to see it in the flesh. And then, you might have that one person that's like, what are you doing sort of thing. But again, if it's that, 1 in 10, 1 in 15, it's just a numbers game. It doesn't really bother me. I think if you have a sense of humor, whether you know what competitive eating is or not, if you have a sense of humor, you can kind of see the funny side in what we all do. And the bottom line is this: whoever wants to like criticize or hate or get disgusted, the facts are the facts. If you look at digital marketing these days, everyone's making eating videos, everyone's trying to make competitive eating videos. Like it's a thing now. It's just a new way of marketing, right? And it's becoming more mainstream, it's becoming more accepted, and there's more and more people just wanting to do it for fun. So I think the people that, don't like it they take things too seriously. And at the end of the day, what we do, it's not geared towards that audience anyway. So rather than trying to please everybody, as long as we can please the people that, care about what we do or appreciate what we do, that's all that matters.
And so, what's next for JWebby Can Eat?
A nice break, to be honest. Obviously, there's one more contest this year I'm not going to participate in. I'm going to go home to Australia, spend some time with my family, my wife, my stepdaughter, my mom, my dad. My dad's actually recently retired, so just spend some family time, hang out with my grandma, my brother. Just do the family thing for a while. Obviously Christmas is just around the corner. Last year, I literally arrived home from America on Christmas morning, and I left the day after Christmas to go back. So this year I'm looking
Oh,
forward to just
wow.
having some time off. Yeah, it's been a long season, long contest season, a lot of touring. So I'm looking forward to just sleeping in my own bed, not living out of a suitcase, waking up and, you know, having my wife there or my stepdaughter jumping all over us, just familiar surroundings and just taking a chill pill, I guess. Go on a bit of a diet too, because man, my waistline has copped a beating this year. So gonna try and get back in shape a little bit over the Christmas period. And then yeah, see how it goes next year. Ready to put the foot down again next year.
2025 is almost here.
Yeah, before you know it, it's going to be the new year. So that's why I'm just going to enjoy some
Yep.
time off now. And then, because before you know it, it's going to be crazy. Before you blink of an eye, you go from 0 to 100, right? So I'm going to enjoy being at -10 for a while.
Yep, it's definitely important to get that break as well. And so you've eaten all over the world in multiple countries. What's one memorable lesson of all your travels, and how do you apply that to keep you motivated?
Look, I'm super grateful for the opportunity, super grateful to be able to do what I do. And that goes for, obviously having a very supportive family, a very supportive wife, a very supportive, following and community, everyone who supports JWebby Can Eat. Super grateful. So to be fair, I don't need motivation because I'm just grateful to be able to do what I do make the most of it. I know it sounds very cliche, but like, man, like I remember what it was like to work a corporate job. And if you want to put things into perspective, there's people out there, working on job sites, doing jobs they don't want to necessarily do, but they need to make ends meet. They need to make an income and they need to put food on the table, right? I'm super blessed to be able to do what I do. So I don't need motivation because I'm grateful, So like I wake up every day, I'm excited to eat, I'm excited to film. I'm excited to go to the gym. I'm excited to see a new city or whatever it may be. I'm still riding that high, I guess. I don't think I'll ever take what I do for granted because like it's very different. It's very special to me. And I think if you told me 3 years ago that this is what your full-time job's going to be, I would have probably just laughed in your face, right? So yeah, I'm just look, bottom line, I'm just super grateful to be able to do what I do. And I just want to make the most of each time I turn that camera on or step on stage or whatever. Yeah.
And do you have any upcoming challenges or contests you want to discuss? I know you said you weren't doing that last contest, but do you have anything upcoming that you want to discuss, even for 2025?
Of course, of course. Look, to be honest, in terms of contests, there'll be no more contests for me until the new year. So that'll really come down to the Major League Eating calendar. But obviously in 2025, I'm looking forward to defending my titles. Got a few titles to defend, so I'm looking forward to that. But in the coming weeks, I just got a couple of food challenges, a couple of like restaurant promotional videos, some fun stuff I get to film. Go and eat a bunch of Mexican food, eat a bunch of burgers, just fun stuff. Honestly, it's just gonna be for me, what's coming up now is just have fun, chill out, and just recuperate for the new year because like next year it's gonna be a good year next year. The contest season, everyone's now super competitive. I'm just gonna be that boy from Oz, sticking it to the man, and I'm gonna be back better than ever.
5 years, what do you hope to achieve that's on your dream list, and you haven't just quite gotten there yet?
Honestly, I want to win Nathan's. And I know I say that. That's not with any arrogance. That's not with any, I understand what a statement that is. But me being the competitor I am, Nathan's is like the Super Bowl. And every football player wants to win a Super Bowl, right? So I want to win Nathan's. I want to be the first Australian to win Nathan's. That's my goal. And whether that's 2, 4, 5, 6 years, I don't know. But honestly, like that's what I want to do.
One thing you want to say to everyone that's listening to this right now?
Honestly, thank you for putting up with me. I appreciate it. Honestly, thank you for the support. Thank you for just getting around competitive eating. And you know what? More than anything, just support each other. Whether it's Food Challenge News, whether it's another competitive eater, whether it's another YouTuber, content creator, just show love. We're all in this together. The more exposure we can bring to this game, the better it is for all of us. And I get it. We're not all going to get along. But in terms of like what we do as a profession, instead of wasting energy on trying to put it on other people, if we just build everyone up and become untouchable together, it's going to be better for all of us, you know what I mean? So just support one another, and I'm just grateful for everyone that puts up with me and supports JWebby. And yeah, man, everyone that's ever wanted a photo or dropped a comment or a like, thank you.
Very well said, and that concludes our interview with JWebby Can Eat. I'd like to thank you again, James, for taking the time to chat with me today. We'll have all the links for JWebby Can Eat in the description. And thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.